Behind the Entertainment Scene with Stephanie Thompson. I am your host. On this show, we bring you artists with entertaining insights, inspiring stories, and secrets to their success. And I have with me my fabulous co-host, Antonio Carnota.
Hello, Stephanie.
Hello, Antonio.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure, Stephanie. How are you doing?
Good. It's so nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
I love your tie.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
I got it just for you because you are beautiful.
Thank you. And we have a fabulous guest with us today, Miss Lisa Gay. She is a singer, songwriter, and a producer of many things, and she's going to tell us about that. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for having me on the show. This is great.
Well, we're so happy to have you. So, Lisa, you were telling me you are producer of you produced a show called Guitars in Heaven. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. Guitars in Heaven was definitely a loving experience, as it was an honor of not only of showing Tony Drake, my late guitarist husband who passed away several years ago, who was amongst one of the greatest guitarists in the business, but also for the veterans, for the Veterans Resource Center. And I work with veteran groups and all the rest of that to promote so many different things, but also in this case, it's the deployment of them coming back and having the facilities, the resources, and everything else to be able to go out and get a home, finances, health care, you know, the whole thing.
What a great program. That's wonderful.
So back just in last month, we did Guitars in Heaven, and we were just so pleased because we were able to grab a lot of the beautiful community that we have, like Frankie Shinta and Clint Holmes and the Bronx Wanderers, and just so many beautiful people that came to celebrate and to help promote this whole piece, which was a wonderful thing.
That's wonderful.
And I co-produced that with Jonathan Scott, who is one of our producers here.
And it was such a success that you're going to be doing a Guitars in Heaven 2.
Guitars in Heaven 2. It's going to be all blues.
All blues.
It's going to be all blues. It's going to be headed and led up by John Wiedemeyer, one of our premier guitarist, and also playing currently with the Righteous Brothers at Harris as well. And so we're really excited about doing that, and then we have like 2-3 other projects that we're working on right now too, so I'm really excited about that too.
That's wonderful. So you like to sing blues music a lot, or jazz?
Well, classic soul. I'm really a classic soul, coming from Los Angeles and everything else, pretty much classic soul and pop. And then jazz is always a fusion. My husband used to always say when he was asked, "Oh, you're such a great jazz player." He said, "No, I'm an R&B player. I just know how to play jazz."
Oh, there you go. You just know how to do it. She just knows how to do it all.
It's all good, but it's all good, whether it be theater or cabaret or whatever the case may be. It's just, music is just the breath of fresh air for everybody.
Well, we are going to show a YouTube video of her a little later on singing on a clear day. That's something for you to look forward to. And then she's going to be singing right here in the studio. So that's going to be later on. So you do not want to miss that. So how did you get started, Lisa?
Well, in Los Angeles and, you know, and going back into the 60s and whatnot, I mean, music and the arts was the thing, period. And from elementary school into choirs and madrigals and concert choir and the clubs. The clubs were the epitome of any entertainer, because you learn so many things that you wouldn't otherwise have, you know, been able to do. So I told my parents, I said, "Hey, by the way, I'm at Claremont College, Pitzer College," and I said, "You know what? I think I had a vision. I think I want to go work the clubs and not sitting here in concert choir." So needless to say, my parents were like, I don't know about all that. However, it turned out, because then the following year and a half, I was with a girl group called Cool Ice, and we went and won a lot of the shows around town and met a lot of different people, and eventually we became back up at A&M Records. And from A&M Records, then I went on and stayed at A&M and did a lot of session work for like Chuck Rainey and Richard T. and for the Stuff Band and many of the artists that were over there, eventually leading me to go and go out on tour with Letta Mbulu. Letta Mbulu used to back up Mary Makeba, who was considered, of course, one of the greatest African singers. And Letta is from South Africa as well. And she was produced by Herb Alfred, and we used to open for Minnie Riperton.
So you overcame your parents' fears.
Oh, they were great.
They were cool with it after that.
They were cool with it, and then later on down the line, getting together, and then my girlfriend Gail Diedrich, who is a great musical director. She was formerly musical director with Natalie Cole for 15 years and won a Grammy with her. Invited me to come down and do an audition for Marilyn McCool and Billy Davis Jr., who had just left the Fifth Dimension and for that year won the Grammy for You Don't Have to Be a Star, and that's when I joined. And our first gig, speaking of my parents, was at the Sands Hotel opening for Alan King with them. Oh my goodness. And then my parents and my brother surprised me as the curtains opened up in the Tiffany Road, they were sitting right in the front.
Oh.
I didn't even know they were coming, so I was getting ready to just, oh my mother said, don't you do it. Don't you do it. And so, you know, and things, you know, moved on from that particular period of time. And eventually, of course, then Tony, Drake, and I got together without going through a whole scenario about it, but we traveled and we toured with them together. And we developed a friendship. And then he called me from Africa when he was on tour, world tour with Barry White, and said, hey, you know what? I think you need to put that voice out there. And we did do that. And so eventually it came to the point that we created our own group, a 9-piece group that was very popular in Los Angeles. And then later on down the line, then we decided to come back to Las Vegas. And we started with a 2-year residency at Alexis Park, which was a wonderful thing. And then quite naturally, as things moved along and everything moved along, then we became a part of the excellent Las Vegas entertainment fabric.
That's fantastic. Okay, we're going to take a quick short break, and when we come back, we're going to hear more exciting insights from Lisa Gay, and we're going to see her YouTube video next, okay? We'll be right back. Welcome back to Behind the Entertainment Scene with Stephanie Thompson. I'm your host, and we have this fabulous guest today, Lisa Gay, and my fabulous co-host, Antonio Carnota, of course, who's always wonderful on the piano. And Lisa has been telling us these wonderful things about her background and everything. And we're going to be showing a YouTube video of her singing on a clear day, which I watched, and it's just wonderful, and you're going to enjoy it so much. We're going to see that in just a couple minutes, but I want to hear a little bit more. And Antonio, I think you had a question for her.
I have
saw.
a question.
Yes.
You said, Lisa, that you were learning many scenes because of the class when you were singing at the class. Can you share with us one experience, one of your fantastic experience that you were learning, you were enjoying at that times?
Well, I can tell you that in the clubs, we used to have contests. And see, back in that particular period of time, and I was talking about the 3-girl group called Cool Ice, and we perfected a cappella. So where a lot of the other groups would work with the bands and whatnot, we would come in and actually, you know, do our thing when it was time for us to go up.
It's complicated.
Exactly, and we would take a tune like Chicago's Call on Me, for example, and then we would break it into 3-part harmony, and then at that time, too, that's when Love Unlimited came out with I Belong to You. So we took the flip side, which was the track, right, of the actual 45. Can we say 45? Of the actual 45. And from that point, then we utilized that, and we actually would win contests. But back in those days, you would win a gig, a weekend gig, a full-fledged weekend
It was
gig.
in Vegas?
This is Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles.
Yeah, Los Angeles has a long history, just like if you go to New Orleans or you know, many Chicago or many other cities. But Los Angeles is a special place because a lot of people don't realize the relationship of the club scene, the Parisian Room, and Memory Lane, the places that Nancy Wilson and Etta James and all of them would play on a regular basis.
And I can imagine that when you were working, did you have the opportunity to help your parents with money, with things? Did you have the opportunity to help them?
To help them?
I mean, with money and with things to help your family?
Well, I tell you what, my parents were just the best. My mother was a teacher, my dad was a regional in the post office, so we pretty much were okay. You know, growing up in the Crenshaw district was a whole nother different thing because it was primarily 80% Asian at that time, which is a whole nother different thing from what it is now. But all the arts were front, forward, and center. You know, it was true suburbia. And then, of course, we had View Park, we had Baldwin Hills. And, you know, you go into the store, grocery store, and you see Sugar Ray Leonard, some people like that, because a lot of the entertainers lived in the community. And that was based off of, like, For example, talking about all the different Nat King Cole and all them who were from the east side when Nat King Cole came and moved to Los Angeles, the east side, and that was called Central Avenue. Central Avenue was the spot. And in fact, it's been known that also the Easter Parade that we know with Judy Garland and also Mickey Rooney, actually Louis B. Mayer and many cohorts, Fred Astaire, Frank, all of them, would be down on Central Avenue. And Louis B. Mayer at the time, as the story is told by all of my kin, that he actually sat and watched the Easter Parade, which included the Shriners and Eastern Star, all of the big, true Negro spiritual and also church groups that would help and support this, you see, and the Shriners and whatnot. And he actually took that essence from that parade, and hence the movie.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Right, and then of course when Duke Ellington and Count Basie, all of them would come to town, they couldn't stay in the place because again, Los Angeles had its own segregation at that time. So they would stay at a place called Club Dunbar. Club Dunbar, and then they would go and they would.
That was the place.
Oh yeah, that was the place. That was the Club Dunbar and Club Alabama. Yes. And so any night, like my mother would go down on Saturday nights, you know, take a break from going to school at UCLA, and you'd see anybody, Etta James, you would see Billie Holiday, all of them would come up on stage after their gig, Sarah Vaughan, all of them, and they would actually lay out chairs and they would sit.
Oh my goodness.
And each one of them would take a turn. And in fact, A-Train, that's when Duke Ellington, they first heard it on the radio was when they came to Los Angeles. They had just recorded it in New York. So there's a lot of history.
So you had a lot of history there.
There's a lot of history that, you know, people don't know about. So when I do my shows, those are some of the pieces along with my husband, all his stories that we incorporate in that.
So you had a lot of influence from all of that.
Totally, and then of course my grandmother was a music, she was a music major and she played for the Fisk Jubilee Singers from Fisk University. So she was, and my grandfather was also a singer from Prairie View.
Well, tell us about this video. So we have a video of her singing On a Clear Day. And so where was this done?
This was done on the Dennis Bono Show, which is, of course, on Thursdays here. And of course, Dennis's show has been long standing for a long time. It will continue on, of course. And I enjoyed it so much because the show was great. Tony and I used to do it all the time. And then actually, that was probably, after he passed, probably my third time doing it.
Okay.
So right on par.
All right, so we're going to see Lisa perform On a Clear Day. Enjoy.
Hey! On a clear day, rise and look around you, and you'll see who you are. And on that clear day, oh, how it will astound you, and the glow of your being outshines of every star, and you'll feel brighter every mountain, sea, and shore, and you can hear from far and hear from words that you never heard before. And on that clear day, on that clear day, you can see forever and ever and ever and ever.
That was Lisa Gay performing On a Clear Day, and it was fabulous, Lisa. You have such a rich, powerful voice.
Thank you.
It was just knockout.
Oh, it's
so
always
really
fun.
enjoy it, and I'm really looking forward to you singing in the studio in a few minutes here. So tell me, Lisa, I always like to ask my entertainers, what are some of the lessons that you have learned? Well, we need to take a quick commercial break, but think about that for when we come back. Some of the lessons that you've learned along the way on your journey.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Behind the Entertainment Scene with Stephanie Thompson. I am your host. I have my fabulous co-host, Antonio Carnota.
Thank you so much. We are enjoying a lot. We are enjoying a lot with Lisa.
Lisa Gay is in the studio with us today. Yes, she's a singer, songwriter, and a producer. And in just a few minutes, we are going to hear her live, and it is going to be fantastic. Woo! But before we hear her live, I asked her a question before we cut to break, and so I got her a couple minutes to think about it. What are some of the lessons that you've learned that you can share with our audience that you've learned along your journey as a musician and singer?
Never be afraid to live.
Never be afraid to live.
That's yeah. That was my grandfather's motto, and I included it in my song on our album Watch What Happens, and the song is called Believe in Love that I wrote.
I love that.
And it just pretty much just says it all. You got to keep smiling, regardless. You know, you got to just understand that. You know, the cliche of saying, "Well, life is this and that." Listen, life is beautiful, and if you don't think so, then you need to change your way of thinking.
Sure.
Yes.
So it pretty much kind of cuts to the chase, and that's why I move forward in whatever is presented to me, and the dear Lord takes care of the rest.
So you were inspired to write that song from your grandfather?
Well, actually, my father had passed away, and I wrote the song the following morning after his funeral.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It inspired me in that piece, but the wording was always, never be afraid to live, was just a constant. Just be constant. Don't give up. Move forward, no matter what. And, like my mother used to always say, I give you 3 days. 1 day for you to go all the way down if you're feeling low.
Yes.
The second day, you need to just cruise. The third day, get up and move and groove. That's a pop thing, you know.
I like
so my girlfriends understand that.
I like that.
My mother was very, 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 very intuitive.
Wow.
Yes.
She was fantastic, and my brother and I had such a beautiful, beautiful lifestyle coming up. But we learned a lot along the way, and going in the business, and the clubs were huge, because the club showed you everything. Anything you wanted to see, the club showed you that. And then, going out with artists, and being behind them and watching them with their careers and watching them on stage and how they, with the reactions and things they would do, whether it be the hit records or maybe something they wrote, and just studying that. The movie 20 Feet from Stardom and all the rest of that definitely talks about that, but it's just an amazing thing, because life is just like that. Like my husband always said too, it's a movie. Get your popcorn out, watch the movie. Just watch the movie.
Enjoy life.
And enjoy life.
Tomorrow will be
no matter what. Yeah. Well, see, tomorrow will take care of itself.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that. Well, now we are going to have the moment that you've all been waiting for. She is going to sing for us live in studio, and you're going to sing Smile, which is so perfect.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. If you smile through your fears and sorrow, smile, and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of trying, as you'll find that life is still worthwhile. Just smile.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let me give you. Beautiful.
That was gorgeous, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
What a privilege to have heard that. That was, I mean, I could feel you living it. It's true artistry.
Thank you.
She's putting all her feeling, all her sensations in every note, it's fantastic.
You could feel it,
Yes.
everything,
Thank
couldn't
you.
you?
Thank you.
It's an honor.
Okay.
And I hope
honor, listen.
as well.
It's an honor.
Thank you so much. You know, it's just such a beautiful pleasure to be here, and ongoing with all the beautiful things, the Guitars in Heaven, #2,
Yes.
and all the other projects. And I will, just to let you know, I'll be at the summit coming up on July the 10th.
Okay,
And all this-
hold
you know,
your thoughts just a minute. We're going to take another commercial break, and we'll talk about your other things in just a moment, okay? We'll be right back. Welcome back to Behind the Entertainment Scene with Stephanie Thompson. I am your host, and we have my fabulous co-host, Antonio Carnota.
Thank you.
And we have the wonderful Lisa Gay, who just blessed us with the song Smile.
Smile, beautiful song.
And if you didn't catch that, you need to go back and listen to that, because it was truly stunning.
Thank you.
So it was wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Lisa, you have some things coming up that you're going to tell us about, and we want to hear about them.
Well, of course, again, the Guitars in Heaven 2 that we're working on.
This was her first flyer, so you're going to have a similar flyer like this.
Well, it probably will flip the script, but that's our main promo on it, and we also are moving and grooving and doing a beautiful event that will be focused on Joe Pass and Ella Fitzgerald. Joe Pass was one of the other utmost supreme guitarists in the business, also a good friend of my husband's as well. But Joe Pass was just amazing with Gal Basie and Oscar Peterson and all them. So that'll be another piece, and then also All Blues. We'll be doing All Blues in regards to that event. And then for performance sake, coming on down the line in July the 10th, come and join us. We'll be at the summit there at 7:30. It'll be a beautiful thing there.
Nice.
And then also I will be in the Roy Hamilton Jr. show, as he is celebrating his father, of course, Roy Hamilton Sr., who was one of the first to record Unchained Melody, which of course Bill Medley of the Righteous Brothers mentions in his show as well, and in their show as well. With that, I'll be doing that with Gene Anderson, who is formerly of the Parliament Funkadelic, who does jazz like you have never heard. He's fantastic. So it's a beautiful thing. And then there's a host of other things that are coming on down the line too. That are starting to come in. So I'm just elated. The dear Lord has just made everything to cruise on, moving and grooving. Just got to keep moving and grooving.
Can you tell us something about the material of the show? Maybe a couple of songs. Which kind of songs, what kind of material will be at the show?
Well, Guitars in Heaven is just that. It's past, present, forward, and all the rest of that. But it's the styles that we're talking about. When we did the first Guitars in Heaven, we had everything from the rock. We had all genres represented. Jason Ebbs and Velocity and the Bronx Wanderers. We had them, and it was just an amazing type of that came together beautifully. But in the next Guitars too, we won't unveil a whole bunch of it, but it will you'll definitely be seeing people like Wes Montgomery and many of the other fantastic guitarists that we do not see. Plus, we're going to be adding all the vocals and all the rest of that like we did the last time, and then introduce some really special things to make the show just pop.
So Lisa, how can they reach you?
Well, I am on Facebook under Lisa Gay. That's one, of course. I'm also on Reverb Nation with Lisa Gay, Tony Drake, and the Gentlemen of Thrill Band, which is still up and running, and people are still moving and grooving and going to that.
Okay.
And all the various social medias and whatnot. And you can Google me. You Google me, and it just kind of just comes up.
Oh, yeah.
There she is. There she is. So yeah, and so it's just an exciting time. It's a very, like anything else, it's a challenging time every time we wake up. But again, never be afraid to live, and that's what I'm sticking by.
I love that, and I love your 1, 2, 3 days. That's perfect. It's like if you're gonna have a pity party, you can have it for one day. That's it. The next day, you kind of cruise. The third day, get over it.
Yes, that's the best. You are right. Yes, completely. You are right. One more time, your information on YouTube.
Absolutely,
and
it's on and YouTube. Oh, I should say that YouTube. You can just go in YouTube, and we're all over YouTube from everything that with everything with me, Tony, the band, Los Angeles here and beyond, and you know, with various other folks as well. And the legacy lives on, of course, with Tony, and he's like all over like Rover, and I'm just so pleased with that because he's so deserving of that.
So real quick. Best experience you've ever had performing and worst experience you've ever had performing?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a bad or worse. I think it's all education.
Okay. So what was one that made you learn the most? Like something that you just like, I think, okay, I won't do that again.
Well, I guess it all just depends on how you look at things. I mean, you know, you could talk about experiences when you're doing cruise, you know, all the different things. There's been so many experiences that I don't really focus on anything that's on the downside.
Sure.
I just more or less look at what has brought me to today.
Right.
All the experiences.
Right, because you wouldn't be where you are today.
And stories and all, the stories and all the rest of that are you know, a whole nother thing. But I'm all about I'm like Roy Orbison. I'm for the good times.
Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds just like you. I'm getting to know who you are. That sounds just like you. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Lisa, it's a pleasure.
Antonio,
it's a pleasure. Stephanie,
should we bring him home?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a pleasure to see you very soon.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3. Here's the end
of the show. We really hate to let you go. We promise that we will return with many more fun things to learn. Come back and see us next week.
Go, hey!
God bless you, everyone. God bless your families. So long, everyone. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.